Well, hello everyone, and welcome. So I'm happy to meet you all, and I'm really excited to see what you guys are going to come up with this week in our first session or first week of Photoshop, which you guys are going to quickly find is like the funnest class you will ever take. Photoshop is this really amazing program where you can do so many really cool things in it, whether it is drawing or photo retouching or video making or 3D work or web design work. Pretty much anything you can think of doing artistically you can do in Photoshop, which makes it like a really fun program. And it's the program that I use all the time. I got a little bit about me first. I got my MFA in film production. I got my bachelor's in cinema as well, with a minor in theater and costume design. And I use Photoshop every day. I currently work as both an instructor and an illustrator. And I draw in Photoshop using a Wacom tablet. I also just do general graphic design work in Photoshop, whether it's making book covers or making movie posters or doing Photoshop retouching type work. All of that is stuff that I use Photoshop for. And then I also just use Photoshop for fun, whether it's making little animated GIFs or things to post on Twitter or Tumblr. I use Photoshop for that as well. So you guys are going to be able to do a whole lot in this first week. Forgive me, there's a little doggy barking in the house. And oh my gosh, all the dogs have gone crazy because someone just decided to walk out front on my sidewalk. So I apologize for that, guys. Shh, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay. It's my dog, Simona Jackson. And let's get back to class. So some of you guys have already installed Photoshop, and some of you still need to install Photoshop. Don't worry if you haven't installed Photoshop yet. I'm going to walk you through all the steps that you need in order to install the program. And you guys are going to find... Shh, shh, you guys, be good. Don't worry, it's going to be very, very easy. Now, those of you who have opened up Photoshop, it might be understandable, especially if this is your first time working with Photoshop or working with a Mac computer. You might be a little overwhelmed. You might see all the tools and you might be wondering, how is it possible to possibly understand all of these tools, especially in the next 4 weeks? Well, one, don't worry. It takes, it takes actually a couple of years to fully understand every element of Photoshop. And I often tell my students that mastering Photoshop is kind of like mastering the martial arts or a musical instrument or the piano or whatever skill you can think of. That's kind of how Photoshop is. It takes several years to fully master, and in this course we only have 4 weeks. So what we're going to be doing is covering the basics. We're going to kind of, if we're going to use the piano analogy, I'm going to teach you how to play the Happy Birthday song using Photoshop. And then now that you understand the basic tools, now that you understand like how it works, you'll be able to kind of practice on your own, and you'll be able to, find new tutorials on YouTube or Lynda and start to kind of expand your skills. Now, I want to talk specifically to those of you who have never used a Mac computer before, and I'm going to make my video full screen for now. There we go. Oh, yay. Okay. This is a slightly new version of Zoom, so you can see my little doggy back there. That's Jackson on the pillows over there. And then my other dog is a little bit further down. Do you see her? Oh, the little brown one. That's Simone. And then the one in the other room, that is Trinity. So you've met some of my animals now. And why does it say mute? Don't mute my audio. Okay. Yay, okay, so this is working now, good. Okay, so now I wanted to talk specifically to those of you who have never used a Mac before, who've never used Photoshop before. Don't worry, this class is designed for you, okay? This class is designed for students who've never used a Mac before, who've never used Photoshop before, who've never done any design work before. And if you're worried at all that you need some prior experience with these programs or this computer interface prior to succeeding in this class, just throw those worries out the window, because I will literally be walking you step by step through how to use not only your Mac, but your Photoshop. And I would have to say in the past, about 90% of all of my students have never used Photoshop before, have never used a Mac computer before. And I have a really high success rate with students not only passing this class, but getting A's in them. In fact, just last mod, I had 40 students in my 2 sections of Photoshop. And I would have to say about 36 of those 40 students ended up not only passing this class, but getting an A in this class. And that is honestly my goal. My goal is for each and every one of you to not only pass this class, but get an A, because this is probably the easiest of all of your graphic design classes that you're going to be taking in this program. So I want you to be able to come out of this class feeling good about your Mac, feeling good about your Photoshop, so that then you can go into those harder, more advanced classes and really shine, really feel good about your graphic design degree, and just carry that momentum of getting an A into the rest of your classes. Because I like to tell students, if you're gonna get a B or even a C, I hope you don't get C's, but if you get a B in something, get it in your algebra class, get that B in your management classes, or your history or your English classes, those classes that aren't really related to your major. You guys are all in this school because you have a passion for graphic arts and a passion for graphic design. So I want to do whatever I can to help you get A's in not just this graphic design class, but in all of the graphic design classes in your program. Now, getting an A doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to be able to get a job, but getting an A will mean that you understand how to use the tools that you're being taught, and that you're hopefully building a portfolio full of work that you can then, potentially show to employers and be like, this is things I can do. And then an employer will be able to hire you confidently, knowing that you know how to do the things that you have to do, and you'll have a successful career and, pay off your student loans and all that really important stuff. So understand the kind of thesis statement of what I'm telling you here is that I want to help you. I want to make sure that you get an A in the class. So any point in this course, if you are worried that you are not going to get an A, or if you messed up on an assignment and you're like, oh gosh, I thought I did it right, but it turned out I didn't actually do it right, email me and I am willing to work with you, and I will let you, resubmit your assignment and redo it and make it better so that you can get an A. Or I will, come to my multi-sessions, which are on Wednesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 9 Mountain Time. in this very classroom where you can come in and ask me questions and get one-on-one help with your assignments. And also, come to these class sessions where you can ask questions and I can answer them, and I can, show you step by step through how to do all of your assignments. So that's kind of an overview of me. Just again, I really want to help you guys succeed. I want to help you all get A's in the class. I want to, I meant to stop my video there so I can show you how to install Photoshop. And I want you guys to be able to be successful in your career as graphic artists and graphic designers. And I want you to be able to get a career in the thing that you're passionate about, which is graphic design. So I'm going to show you now how to go through the process of installing Photoshop. And so what you guys are going to do is you might be familiar with this right now. This is the dashboard. This is the first page that comes up when you go into your classroom. And if you scroll down, you'll see this thing here that says IUGA Community. And then what you'll do is you'll scroll down and you'll see this first button here. Very, very important button, this first button. This is where you learn how to install the Adobe Creative Cloud, or the Adobe CC Suite, which is the suite of programs that you will need for not only this class, but all the classes that you're going to be taking at Independence. And yes, you are getting the software for free from the school, so you should be super stoked about that. So now if I go here and I click, there are step-by-step instructions here in the IUGA community that explain how to install your software. Now, there are a very, very small percentage of you who do not have access to the IUGA community. And the only reason why you would not have access to the IUGA community is because you are a web design major rather than a graphic arts major. But don't worry, if you are a web design major, that means your faculty program advisor is James Major. And James Major has emailed you instructions on how to install Photoshop onto your computer. If for whatever reason you did not receive that email from James Major on how to install your Photoshop, then what you do is very simple. Email James Major and say, hey, I never received the email explaining how to install Photoshop. And he will respond, oh, well, here are the instructions for how to install Photoshop. And then you just follow those instructions or ask him for further assistance, and you'll be all good to go. For those of you who are graphic arts majors, which is like 95% of you, you have access to the IUGA community. You have been invited to join. And all you have to do is then go to this Adobe CC install and upgrade. Again, when you click on the IUGA community, this is what it looks like, and you'll just click on that first button there that says Adobe, and then you'll just scroll down. Now, many of you guys have already said that you've never used a Mac before, and that's fantastic. Don't worry about that. There's this handy link here, which I encourage you guys all to check out, which helps you learn your Mac, and it's right here. And I'll just copy and paste this into the chat so you guys have it. Now, I just want to tell you how easy a Mac computer is. I grew up using a PC, and I went all through college using a PC, and all through grad school as well, I used a PC. And then when I got my first job, I had to use a Mac. And not only did I have to use a Mac, but I had to teach others how to use a Mac. And so I was a little worried at first. I was like, oh no, I've never used a Mac computer before, but I got my Mac and I just started. I honestly didn't even go to the Apple website, this link here that teaches you how to use your Mac. I just started like doing stuff with it. And I would have to say it took about 2 weeks for me. And this is without any training at all. Just me, figuring out the Mac on my own, and then it became second nature. Really, I mean, you can just everything is about the same. The only real difference is that you hold down the command button instead of the control button when you're doing shortcut keys. And then if you want to right click and you don't have a mouse that has a right clicker, you just hold down the control button, and control while you click on your mouse is pretty much the same as a right click on a PC. And then the finder, the little blue faces, that's like where you find all your applications and your files and all of that. The Mac is like so user-friendly. And since, graduating grad school and getting my first job and using a Mac and teaching others how to use a Mac, I honestly would not go back to a PC. I do use a PC for my other job, but I love a Mac. And again, it's going to become like second nature for you. So don't worry at all about that. And like 95% of my students all are completely new to Mac. So don't worry, they all end up succeeding, and you totally will as well. So don't stress at all about it. Just kick back, relax, and just learn the stuff. No big deal. Visit that website. It teaches you all about your Mac computer. Then the next step here is how to install Photoshop, or what's called Adobe CC, for the first time. So what you'll do is you'll go to this link here, and I want to open it up a new tab. So I'm just going to control click and then open in a new tab. And there you are. And for whatever reason, it takes you sometimes by default to the faculty and staff button here. Make sure that you click on the students button. And ta-da! Then what you'll do is you'll just click on this Adobe Creative Cloud thing here. And see, it's free. It's free. And then just follow all of the instructions right here on how to download and install it. Super easy, super straightforward. Now, if for whatever reason you have issues with the installation process, you get stuck with something, what you will do, and I want you guys to pay attention, is email this person. His name is Sean Childers Gray, and Sean will help you. Sean will walk you through how to install the program, and Sean is like the go-to person. So if you're having any problems, I'm going to type that email address into the chat here. It is sean.childers-gray at independence.edu. And don't just, okay. You guys, I want to talk a little bit about like working professionally with people who work at the school. Don't just send Sean an email saying it's not working, because Sean will have no idea what you're talking about. What you want to do is send a professional email to Sean saying, hello, I was informed that you are the person to talk to about problems that may happen when I am installing the Adobe Creative Cloud Suite. And then you will go into a detailed explanation about what your problem might be if you are having an issue installing Photoshop. So for instance, you might say something like, I went to the On the Hub account and I clicked on the download, and then when I went to install, it asked for a serial number or a username or a password, and I don't believe I have that username or that password. Can you help me with figuring out what I need to put in for those areas. Or when I attempt to download, I get an error message. Can you help me with that? And Sean will assist you. So what I'm saying here is email Sean a detailed explanation of what your issue is, and Sean will assist you. So Olivia just posted a really great question in the chat. Olivia said, I follow the steps to install Adobe Creative Cloud and it's not showing up as free. Why is that? So that would be a really good reason to email Sean and ask why it's not showing up as free, because it is free for everyone. And the password is, yeah, anytime you download anything, so that password is probably the password for your Mac. But again, if you're having issues, email Sean at that email address there, sean.childersgray@independence.edu. And Sean will assist you with any complications that you have when you are trying to install this software. Alrighty. Scrolling down, so that's all the instructions. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. Yay, now we get into fun stuff. Okay, so a few really, really important things, and then I'll get into like how to do your Photoshop and how to do your assignments and all that good stuff. So I'm going over here to our classroom. And I'm going to go over here to the live sessions. And there is some really, really important info in here. So our multi-sessions, these are separate from our live sessions. Our live sessions are like where I teach the class and show you how to do the things. Our multi-sessions are on Wednesday and Thursday. And what the multi-sessions are times where you can come into this classroom and you can show me your work, and you can ask me if you're doing okay, and you can ask me questions about your assignment. And these are the times when my multi-sessions are available. And what a lot of students like to do is they do their assignment after watching our class on Tuesday, and then they come to my multi-session on Wednesday and Thursday and show me their work. And I'll be able to point out, oh yeah, you're doing perfectly, or oh no, fix this one thing so you can get a good grade. And then after coming to my multi-session, they turn their assignment in so they know that they are going to get an A on their assignment, right? So that's a really, really smart thing to do. So the multi-sessions are where you can get one-on-one help with your assignment. Now, for whatever reason, sometimes students aren't available at those times to get one-on-one help, but there's other ways that you can get one-on-one help as well. So we have a tutor who is assigned to this class, and there is the link. So if you go over to the announcements in the classroom and then click on this link here, you'll see the contact information for Nadine Keeney, who is the tutor assigned to this class. And Nadine is available to assist you. And another place that you can get help is on the other multi-session times that are available with other instructors. And if you click on this PDF here, again, this is all in the announcements, you can check out, I'll share my whole screen. So you can see that Christina Fosbrink is available, let's see, at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. You will see that Tara Cowles, who also teaches DES 104, is also available at 3 p.m. on Tuesday. And you will also see that these other instructors are also available on Mondays and Tuesdays. So you can get one-on-one help from them. Now, if any of those times don't work for you, you can also go to our Student Success Center practically like any time. And if you're stuck on something, you're stuck on an assignment, you go over here to this green button here that says Student Success Center. And then you will click on this, click to enter Student Success Center, and there will be a person there who will help you and who will, you know, if you have a question about your assignment, you're not sure how to do something, you're having difficulty with the software, there is someone there who can help you, okay? So don't fret at all. In conclusion, you can get help from so many different places. Either, of course, you can email me anytime. Oh, that actually brings up a good point. I'll show you my phone and I'll explain why texting doesn't work so well with me. But you can email me, you can get help. You can come to my multi-sessions on Wednesday and Thursday and you get help. You can come to our tutor, Nadine Keeney, and get help. You can also go to the Student Success Center and get help. You can also go to the open labs that are held by other instructors and get help. Okay. So let me talk about phone calls and my phone, my antique phone. Okay, here it is. So you guys, here is my phone. It is a flip phone. It is like one of those phones that you see in the movie Clueless or any movie from the 1990s. It is very old. And so unlike your fancy iPhones that have, you know, that are easy to type on and type long text messages, my phone doesn't do that. So if you are requesting a long, detailed answer that's something other than yes or no, email me at carly.heath@independence.edu, and I will be able to go on my laptop computer and provide long, detailed email explanations. Texting, you know, and requesting long, detailed explanations on this flip phone with the number keypad, not so much, not going to work. Also, if you send me screenshots or photos via text message, look at how small my screen is. It basically looks like pixels of color, and like I can't see anything. So don't send me picture text messages. Don't send me screenshot text messages. I don't have an iPhone. I don't have a fancy smartphone. I have a flip phone. Okay. Email me if you have a detailed thing. But if you're just asking a quick yes or no question, yes, text message, I can totally help you with that. Phone calls. Phone calls are less than ideal. I do accept phone calls, but I teach on campus during the week, and so I'm not able to answer my phone right away. And also my hearing is kind of bad, so I have a hard time sometimes answering people's questions over the phone. Email is like the #1 best way to contact me. So I would definitely strongly recommend email if you have questions, and also coming to my multi-sessions. Okay, stop sharing and let's move ahead. Okay, so time management, what most students do for this course is they watch the class session on Tuesday, they do their assignment on Wednesday, they come to my multi-session either on Wednesday or Thursday, and they ask me questions, they get help, they show me their work before they turn it in. And that way, you know, that's like the #1 best way to do this class. Don't wait until Friday or Saturday, because your instructors, we have weekends. If you try and email us or call us on Friday night, Saturday night, or Sunday, you're probably not going to get a response back until Monday. because we observe our weekends. And also the Student Success Center tends to be really busy on Fridays and Saturdays. So it's sometimes hard to get one-on-one help. So it's much, much better to get started on your assignments early in the week so that you can get the assistance that you need via my multi-sessions. Okay, we talked about that. Oh, another really important thing, especially as I'm about to get into how to do your assignment this week. Take notes. Actually keep a piece of paper by your computer while I demonstrate how to do your assignments, because a lot of how Photoshop works and how to do Photoshop is kind of like cooking. Like there's a process, there's a whole step-by-step process. I'll explain, you know, click here, use the shortcut key, then click here, then go here, then move this here. And if you're just sitting back and watching this like a TV show, there is no way that you are going to be able to, you know, remember everything that I told you. So keep a piece of paper by your desk and take notes as we go along. I also have video tutorials that take you step by step through how to do the assignments. And if you check these out, you can see and follow the instructions. This is really funny, you guys. I just got a text message from a student in this class saying, can you help me download Photoshop to my Apple laptop? And I'm just going to respond, come to class right now. Okay. Smiley face. That's the extent of my text messaging abilities on my flip phone. Okay, other important info. So this slide has like a bunch of info on like who to contact if you need help, if you're having trouble with your Adobe software, if you have need tech support help. So what I like to encourage all of you guys to do is like take a screenshot of this slide and save it for future reference. And you can take a screenshot by going to Shift Command 4. Shift Command 4, and what that does is it makes a little crosshair. So you see the little crosshairs on my cursor, and then you can click and drag across your screen like this, and you can take a screenshot and it saves this slide to your desktop, so you can view it forever and ever. It has a whole bunch of important info, like if you haven't received your laptop yet, or if you're having laptop issues, Sherry Gerlau is a good person to contact. If you have Adobe software issues or glitches, that's the number for Adobe Tech Support. If you're having issues with your classroom, you can go to that number there as well. Another way to take a screenshot on your Mac computer is to hit Shift Command 3, Shift Command 3, and that takes a screenshot of your whole screen and saves it to your desktop. Okay, videos, we did that. Okay, late work. You know, sometimes I understand that life comes up and you have a issue, and if it's just a one-time thing and you know you had an emergency one week and you didn't need a little extra time on your assignment, no big deal. As long as you email me before the deadline and let me know that you need a little extra time on your assignment, guess what? You know, I'm going to say, cool, can you turn it on Monday or Tuesday instead? And no points will be deducted. Everything will be fine. You'll get full credit on your assignment. Again, as long as you email me before the deadline. So sometime before Saturday at midnight, letting me know that your assignment's going to be late. And you know, a little bit about the reason why, that's fine. As long as it just happens one week and doesn't become like an issue where every week you're asking for an extension, it's all good. Don't worry about it. Okay. Oh, using images in discussions. So let's talk about your discussion one this week. Here we are in the classroom, and if you scroll down to our week 1 discussion board, this is your week 1 discussion. And really, really important, your first post has to be posted by Wednesday, and your post has to be 150 words or more. And you have to make sure that you post 2 responses to your fellow classmates, 50 words or more. And so you're talking about retouching, and this is your own personal opinion and analysis. And you can go ahead and read some of my own posts to kind of see an example of how to format your discussion board. Now, as with all academic writing, I mean, this is pretty much common sense. A majority of your post has to be your own original opinion and analysis. That means 80% of your post is your own opinion, and then you'll throw in a few quotes, maybe a few paraphrased information to back up your opinion with cited sources. Now, see how I am embedding images into my discussion board post? I want to strongly encourage you all to do that, because it makes the discussion much more interesting. And, you know, we're visual people, we're graphic designers. We like to see pictures rather than text. Of course, it's not required, but it certainly will be required in future classes. So first, what you want to do is go on Google and find an image that you want to use that illustrates your point. A really, really good thing, especially for Photoshop, to look at, especially for your discussion, is child beauty pageant. Child beauty pageant. Photoshop. And if you go to Google Images, especially these before and after images, you can see some really, really creepy Photoshop retouching. This whole page is a bunch of creepy, where is it? Creepiest professionally retouched photos of children. See? These are hilarious. Yeah, they're all pretty terrible. So when you see an image that you want to use for your discussion, what you have to do is hold down the control button and then click on that image, and then click, where is it? Copy image address. Okay, so you control click on the image and then you click copy image address. Then you go to your discussion, and then you can, you know, start writing. And then look for this little image here in your discussion board post. It looks like a picture with like a little mountain and like a sun inside of it. That is the embed image button. And then you hit Command V. Command V is the shortcut key to paste. And you're pasting that link to that image inside of your discussion. And then you hit Post Reply. And so, you know, obviously you're going to type a little bit more about the image and Photoshop and your opinions on this sort of thing, and your career as a Photoshop artist and all of that. But this is how you use images to illustrate your points. And then Olivia just brought up a question. Olivia is trying to install Adobe CC, and it's saying that you must register on the web store in order to sign in. So Olivia, and anyone who has a question about the process, if you're having difficulty with it, definitely go to Sean Childers Gray, and his email again is sean.childers-gray@independence.edu. Perfect. Okay, and now let's go to our We'll talk a little bit about our digital portfolio in a second. I just want to get into kind of the basics of how to do your first assignment, and then we'll go into a little bit more detail in a moment. Okay, so your first assignment is to create a desktop wallpaper, and you may be looking at the size and you may be like, whoa. So we're making a desktop wallpaper that's only 4 inches by 9 inches. What's up with that? We're making something that's very small so that it will easily upload to the grade book and it will be easy to grade. Obviously, if you were to make a real desktop wallpaper, it would be a lot larger. But this is just for the purpose of the assignment. We're making something small. And the really cool thing about this is that you can literally do whatever you want for this assignment. It's just to show off that you know how to use these Photoshop tools. So I'm going to go ahead now and open Adobe Photoshop. And we are going to make our first project. This is what your Adobe Photoshop will look like when it opens for the first time. And you're going to have a layers panel. This is really the only thing that you need for this class is the layers panel. See where it says layers, and the tool panel. And there is a slight chance that your Photoshop might look ever so different than mine. No big deal, because the tools that we're using are exactly the same. So yes, the resolution is going to be 72 dpi. That means pixels per inch or dot per inch. Both mean the exact same thing, DPI or PPI. So let's do it. Let's make a new document. We're going to go to File, New, and the size is, I almost forgot the size. It is 4 inches. No, it's 9 inches wide and 4 inches tall. And the resolution is going to be 72. And the color mode that we're using is going to be RGB. Okay, so when you make a new document, this is what it should look like. And you know, there's a chance that you might have a very dark gray screen here. And my screen is light gray, you know, that because my version of Photoshop is ever so slightly different. Don't worry, all the tools are exactly the same. Even though they look different, they're exactly the same. Okay, now we're gonna go okay. And again, you might be like, whoa, why is that so small? For the purposes of this assignment, we're making everything small. And the reason why is because, and you don't need a mouse, I'm going to do everything with the trackpad. And the reason why I'm making it small is so it will easily upload to the grade book. And even though, you know, it looks like this on your very high resolution screen, when you view it in the grade book, it's going to look like this. Okay, so don't worry about that. Let me show you like the easiest way to make this assignment. Okay, you can literally not go wrong. 99% of the students who turn this assignment in end up getting 100% on it. So you literally can't go wrong. The first step now is anytime you're using a new tool in Photoshop, you're going to make a new layer. And you can make a new layer just by hitting the little square with the little triangle inside of it next to the trash bin. You can also make a new layer by hitting Shift Command N. Shift Command N if you're on a Mac, Shift Control N if you're on a PC. Next, I'm going to go to my little paintbrush tool here. And the color that you use on your paintbrush tool is going to be whatever is the foreground color swatch at the bottom of your tool panel. So see how right now my foreground color swatch is black? That's the color I'm going to end up painting with my paintbrush. Now if I go up to the top of the screen, again I'm just using my trackpad, you'll see that my brush size is at 2400 pixels, which is like huge, so huge you can't even see my brush anymore. I'm going to shrink it down to 27 pixels. How about 55 pixels? And you can shrink your brush size down just by clicking on this little square up here at the top that has your brush settings. And now guess what? Make some dots. Fill your wallpaper up with dots. And if you want to turn in a wallpaper that is nothing but polka dots, you are more than welcome to do that. I hope you guys want to do something a little bit more challenging, but this is an easy A assignment this week, okay? So if you want to just dot, dot, dot with your paintbrush, and then go to File, Save As, and we're going to make a folder for our class by clicking on our desktop and then going to this New Folder button down at the bottom of my window here. And I'm going to call this DES104 April, and then I'll hit Create. And now I'm going to name this. Sorry, my Zoom window is in the way. This is the naming convention that the school recommends that you use for all of your assignments. First thing is class name, DES104, underscore your name, underscore assignment 1. Notice that the only period in this file name comes right before the .psd. And if you want to name your assignment like this, you'll be good to go, because this is the naming convention that the school wants you to use for all of your assignments in all of your classes. .psd is Photoshop document. See where it says Format Photoshop, and then hit Save. Okay. And then if you want to, you'll want to save this as a JPEG, because that's the second file type that's required for this assignment. You'll go to File, Export, Save for Web. Yes, you save both a PSD and a JPEG. File, Export, Save for Web. You'll select a JPEG from this menu up here at the top. So you'll select JPEG from this menu up here at the top, and then you'll hit Save. So File, Export, Save for Web. You're going to browse to your DES104 folder, and then you'll hit Save. And now you have both the PSD and the JPEG that are required for your week 1 assignment. And both these files are required for your assignment, and you have now completed this assignment for an easy A, and it took you less than 5 minutes, right? So this is one way that you can do your assignment. Again, you guys probably want to do something a little bit more complicated because you're graphic designers and you're artsy and you want to do something artsy. So don't worry, I'm going to show you how to do something a little bit more interesting if you want to go that direction. But again, it's totally not required. I want to show you just how easy it is to get an A in this assignment. So again, to do this week 1 assignment, we go to File, New, select 9 inches, not pixels, 9 inches for the width. Height is 4 inches, not pixels, inches. Resolution is 72 pixels per inch. Make a new layer by clicking on the square with a little triangle sticking out of it at the bottom of the Layers panel. Dot, dot, dot with your brush tool. See, I'm using my brush tool to make some polka dots. Next, I'm going to go to File, File, Save As. And you'll name this DES104 underscore your name underscore assignment 1. Excuse me. And then you have your Photoshop document. Now you're going to export this. So you're going to go File, Export, Save for Web. Save it as a JPEG, JPEG high. You're going to hit Save. Save it as a JPEG, and then hit Save, and then boom, instant A on your week 1 assignment, less than 5 minutes of work. So you guys are all guaranteed to come out of this week 1 with an A, and then hopefully continue that A into your next weeks. But again, don't worry, I'm going to be showing you guys a little bit more fancy stuff in just a few minutes. This is the rubric for how you're going to be graded on your assignments. So make sure that you have the correct size, 4 inches, not 4 pixels, 4 inches. Make sure that you have the right resolution, which is 72 dpi. Make sure that you have submitted both a JPEG and a PSD, and you know, then you're going to be more than good on your score. Okay. I want to just talk to you guys all for a moment. I put together a little video on how to be a good graphic arts student. So I'm going to share that with you guys. And then I'll go into some more kind of advanced things that you can do with the project this week, if you want.
I want to talk about how to be an effective student and also how to be successful as a graphic designer. Now, we're in my office right now. This is where I do all of my class sessions with you guys. And this is the computer that I mostly use. In fact, this is a Wacom Cintiq, if you're wondering, and it's really handy because I'm able to draw on the screen, if I can find my little pen here, and I can do really easy photo retouching and everything. So if you're interested in upgrading, this is what I use, but by all means you don't have to use a Wacom Cintiq. I got my Wacom Intuos 3 off eBay, which was $35, I believe, and I still use my Wacom Intuos 3 all the time, and for my on-campus classes I use it, and I do a lot of drawing work with it when I want to kind of draw in bed and lay on the floor and sketch, and I don't want to necessarily be sitting at my desk. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to have a good workspace. But just if you're interested, that's what I use. Now, but that's just a side thing. I want to talk about something really important, which is a work area that you can learn in and a work area that you can create in. And when you're doing these class sessions and when you're watching me talk, it's a good idea to be in a distraction-free environment. So find a room in your house where you can close the door and lock it and put a sign on that says, "Do not disturb." Also, try to work in an area that doesn't have a television set or a second computer, where you can really focus on the material that's being taught. If you have the TV running while your class session is going on at the same time, that takes up half of your brain power, and you want 100% of your brain power to be focused on learning. Same for when it comes to creating and working on your assignments. Set aside 2 hours every day where you're just going to be working on your homework. Put a sign on the door that says, "Do not disturb me. I am working on my homework." Lock that door, and when that door is locked, no one is allowed to bother you, okay? Turn your cell phone off. You know, even consider putting a voicemail message that says, "Do not call during this time because I'm working on my schoolwork." Now, when the class session is going on, it's a good idea to keep a piece of paper right by your computer where you can take notes. In fact, I would say this is required. I personally still watch a lot of graphic design tutorials and videos on how to use Illustrator and how to use Photoshop, doing different techniques, and it's impossible to sit back and watch those videos without taking notes because there's so many steps involved that you won't remember them all. So keep that piece of paper, keep that pencil or that pen, and write down all the steps as I go through them. Also write down any important things that I say, such as back up your work in 2 locations, write that down, or make sure that you submit this design as a JPEG and not a native file format. Write that down. That's all important stuff. So studies have shown that when you actually physically write down your notes, the information stays in your brain longer than if you type up notes, and certainly the information doesn't stay in your brain if you don't take notes at all. Taking notes is an important part of your mind processing information. Now, final thing about your work area and making it effective for learning and creating this thing, an external hard drive. An external hard drive is a place where you can copy your file and store it outside of your computer. So if anything were to happen to your computer, if your computer crashes and stops working, which has happened to me before, I went to turn on my computer one morning and it just didn't turn on. But if you have that work saved on an external hard drive, you can open it up on another computer. Another good idea is to have Google Drive. And even if you're kind of paranoid, which I am about your work, especially work that you're doing for clients because you're like liable for the safety of that file, consider having an off-site location. Of course, Google Drive is great, but I have a external hard drive, just like this one here, in a safe deposit box at the bank. And every couple months I go and I download all of my files to that hard drive at the bank in a safe deposit box. So if my house were to ever burn down, I have my work stored in a very, very safe location. Okay, so workspace. Make sure it's distraction-free, no TVs, no one knocking on your door, cell phone is turned off. Make sure you're 100% focused on our class sessions. Make sure you're taking notes. Make sure you're backing up your work. And make sure you're in the mindset and you're ready to create some awesome stuff.
Alrighty, so let's see what else we can do with our Photoshop to make a desktop wallpaper that's a little bit more complicated than just polka dots. And again, polka dots, easy way, 5 minutes, easy A. But if you want to learn a little bit, you want to do something a little bit more fancy, let's do that. Okay, so in Photoshop, everything is all about the layers. And let's say I wanted to change the background color of this document here. What I would do is I would make a new layer, which is the square with a little triangle inside of it here at the bottom of the layers panel. I can also hit Shift-Command-N to make a new layer. Write that down because you're going to use it a whole lot in your professional life. And then go over here to the left side of your screen, which is your tool panel. And you'll see right now the default option on my tool that's underneath my eraser tool. So see the eraser tool, it looks like an eraser. Underneath that, there is a gradient tool. That button there is roommates with the paint bucket tool. So if you click and hold on the gradient tool, which is a square that's dark on one side and it gradually gets lighter, you will see that the paint bucket tool pops up underneath it because the gradient tool and the paint bucket tool are roommates. They live on the same button together. So I'm going to click on the paint bucket tool, then I'm going to go down to the bottom of my tool panel. And right now my foreground color swatch is black. I want to select a dark blue. I'm visualizing a dark blue for my background color. So I'm going to click on my foreground color swatch, and then I'm going to click here on my blue color. And then I'm going to move this little circle here to the dark blue part of my color picker, okay? And just an FYI for all of graphic design work that you'll do forever, if you're picking a background color, either pick something from down here at the bottom of your color picker or pick something from up here at the top of your color picker. Never pick something from the middle of your color picker because there will never be enough contrast between your background and your text if you're only choosing mid-range values. You want to either choose a background color that's very, very dark or a background color that's very, very light. Never anything in the middle. Okay, and now I'm going to click. And there I have a nice dark blue background for my wallpaper. Next, I'm going to make a new layer. Again, with Photoshop, every time you make a change to your document, you make it on a new layer. And you can do that either by clicking on the square that has a little triangle next inside of it at the bottom of the layers panel next to your trash can, or you can hit Shift Command N if you're on a Mac, or Shift Control N if you're on a PC. Now I'm going to change my foreground color swatch to something different. I'll choose a kind of a yellow color so it contrasts with my blue. So a very, very light yellow to contrast with my very, very dark blue. So anytime you're using contrast, you contrast both values, which is the lightness and darkness of something, and colors. Next, I'm going to go to this little icon, which is located towards the bottom of your tool panel. And you'll see a black arrow. That's the black arrow. Underneath the black arrow, you might see a tool which looks like a rectangle, like that. You might see a tool that looks like an ellipse, like that. All of the custom shape tools are roommates together. They all live together on the same button. So if you want to use the ellipse tool, which is like the tool that you use to make an oval or a circle, you'll click on the rectangle tool or the rounded rectangle tool or the custom shape tool until it pops up. Okay, so I'm clicking and holding, and there is my ellipse tool. Okay, now whenever you choose a custom shape tool to use in Photoshop, you have three options available at the top of your screen. You either have the shape option, the path option, or the pixels option. First, I want to show you the option that you absolutely don't want to use, and that is the pixels option. Now, the pixels option creates a shape using little squares of color called pixels. And if I were to hold down the Shift button, click and drag and draw a little circle using the pixels option, you'll start to see the problem with this option. I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to hit Command +sign. And then I am also going to expand the size of the circle, let's say because I realized that I didn't want to make such a small circle. I wanted to make a larger circle for this project. So I will hit Command T. Command T to bring up the transform controls. Command T. If you're on a PC, it will be Control T. Control T if you're on a PC. Next, I'm going to hold down the Shift button, and I'm going to click on the corner, not the edge, the corner. I'm going to click on the corner and drag downward at a diagonal angle. And as you can see, while holding down the Shift button and clicking diagonal at the corner, as I've increased the size of the circle, something else has increased. The pixels have increased, the size of the pixels. So the moral of this story is anytime you draw something in pixels mode, and then you decide that you want to make it bigger, it ends up getting blurry and pixelated in the process. So say I'm going to hit Enter or Return to place this object into my document. You can see that the edge of the circle is blurry and pixelated. And if I were to send this to print, it would be a mess. It would look very, very unprofessional. So when you are making a design in Photoshop, such as a desktop wallpaper, instead of using the pixels mode, use the shape mode. The pixels mode creates a raster object, which is an object that's made out of pixels. The shape mode creates a vector object, which is an object that can be resized as much as you want. So let's do it. I'm going to hold down the Shift button. I'm going to click and drag. By the way, I'm still zoomed in. I'm zoomed into 300%. And the reason I'm zoomed into 300% is just so I can see my document and I can work with it a little bit better. I'm going to move Properties window over here. Now I'm going to hit Command T to resize this object. And I'm going to hold down the Shift button, click and drag. And you can see, no matter how much I resize this object, it still has a nice clean edge. That is because it is something called a vector object and not a raster object. So it can be easily resized, like so. And I'll hit enter or return. So we've made our first shape, and that is a shape made with the ellipse tool. And if you wanted to just make a whole wallpaper just using the ellipse tool, that would be awesome. All you'd have to do is hit Shift Command N to make a new layer, hold down the Shift button, and just make a whole wallpaper that's full of polka dots like this. And if you wanted to, you could save it as a PSD, save it as a JPEG, turn it in, call it good. Takes 5 minutes of your time and energy, and you'll get an A on this assignment. I have a feeling, though, you probably want to do something a little bit more complicated, as fancy as that looks. So I'm going to show you a few other tools that you can have fun with, and I'm just deleting this layer so that I can show you something fancy. The next thing I'm going to show you is something that everyone gets really, really excited about. But for whatever reason, they don't pay attention while I'm doing it. So they end up asking me, hey, do that again, can you do that again? So instead of having a million students ask me, can you do that thing again? Pay attention right now, and I'm going to show you how to make a star using the polygon tool, okay, the polygon shape tool. So let's do this. I'm going to go down to the bottom of the tool panel again on the same button that has my ellipse tool. I'm going to click and hold. And then I'm going to go to the polygon tool and click on it. Now, up at the top of the screen, there is this little gear icon right here. And I'm going to change the settings on that gear icon so that the star is chosen. And I'm going to indent my sides by 99%. Now, you are welcome to put however many sides you want on this star. I'm going to put 66 just for kicks. And then I'm going to go down to the bottom of my layer panel, and I'm going to find, see where it says set foreground color? I'm going to choose a slightly different color. I'll select kind of an orange. How about that? Okay, so I have now, this gear icon is set to star. I've indented my sides by 99%, and I've put 66 sides on my star, and I'm going to hold down the Shift button, click on the center of the circle, and drag outward. And as you can see, I have created a starburst. Now, right now, it looks a little bit on the silvery side because it has that path around it. And that path is letting us know that it's a vector object that we've created. But if I hit Shift Command N and make a new layer, you can see that there's my nice little starburst right here. And on this new layer, I'll just show you some different ways to make stars. I'm going to go to my little gear icon here. This time I'll indent my sides by 90%, and I'll put 13 sides on my star. And let's see what a different kind of star looks like. See? Here's some smaller stars. Now I'm going to go to this little gear icon, and let's see what smooth indents looks like. Hold down the Shift button, click and drag, and see when I do smooth indents, this kind of thing happens. And now let's do smooth corners and smooth indents. This time I'll put 6 sides on my star, and I'll indent the sides by 95. There we go. Let's see what this looks like. So you can make all sorts of different types of stars using these settings on the polygon tool. And every time I'm holding down the Shift button and dragging, it's making a new star. So Olivia asked Shift N. End. Okay, so Olivia, Shift Command N makes a new layer, not end. N as in Nancy. So Shift Command N as in Nancy makes a new layer. Okay, so I have now all these stars. Now I'll show you another tool that you are welcome to use for your desktop wallpaper. And that is the custom shape tool. So I'm going to make a new layer. Again, you can either hit Shift Command N, Shift Command N as in Nancy or new layer, or also click the square with the little triangle inside of it at the bottom of the layer panel. Next, I'm going to go to the custom shape tool, which right now is on the polygon tool, and I'm going to click and hold until I see all my little custom shape tool roommates together. And you can see at the very bottom there is a little amoeba. It looks like a little amoeba icon there, and it says custom shape tool. That tool gives you access to your custom shape library, which is available up at the top of your screen. So see right now, the heart shows up on mine. And I have a whole bunch of different shapes here. Now, eventually in future classes, you're going to learn how to make your own custom shapes. You're going to learn how to download custom shapes. But for now, feel free to just open up your custom shape libraries. And what you want to do is be able to see all of your libraries open at one time. So in addition to clicking on the little down arrow next to the shape icon, you're going to go over here to the little gear icon, click on it, and then click on the word all. Click on the word all. And then you're going to click on the word append, and that will open up all of your custom shape libraries. And then you can find a happy little shape that you like. Choose this guy right here. And then I'm going to hold down the shift button, click and drag. And I want to move this shape into place. So to do that, I'm going to use my move tool, which is either the letter V. Again, this is another shortcut key that you're going to want to write down. The letter V is your move tool. You can also go over here to the tool panel, and it's the arrow tool with the little 4 arrows intersecting there. And you can just move this guy into place. Okay, so we've made a pretty snazzy wallpaper using a variety of different tools, such as the paint bucket tool, then the different custom shape tools, including, click and hold, the ellipse tool, the polygon tool, and the custom shape tool. Feel free to experiment with all of these. Now remember, really important process for saving your files so that you can turn them in and get a good grade. The first step is always to save the PSD document. The PSD document is the document that allows you to save all of your layers. The PSD document is the Photoshop document that will allow you to make changes to it. You know, whether it's tomorrow, 2 weeks from now, 2 years from now, you can always make changes to the PSD document. So you're going to go to File, Save As. You'll call this DES104, your name, under assignment 1. The only period in the name should come right before the file extension, which is .psd, and then you'll hit save, and then you'll hit, I'm just going to replace the thing I already made. Next, you're going to save a JPEG, and that JPEG is very, very important. It's worth 25 points. So to save the JPEG and turn this in, you're going to go to File, Export, Save for Web, File, Export, Save for Web. You're going to select JPEG, from the top of the screen up there. JPEG high, and then hit save. And so you are going to, yes, you're going to turn in both the PSD and the JPEG. Alrighty, I'm going to show you a few other fancy things that you can do, but I thought maybe you'd like to take a look at some work that has been done by other students in our program. I've been kind of compiling a little video just to use as inspiration for future students. Hold on, let me show this for you. And if at any point in your training while you're in school, if you decide that you have something that you want added to this video, feel free to email it to me, and I will continue to add work to this video so that you can become famous with your fellow classmates. Alrighty, pretty inspiring, right? Yay. Alrighty, I'm going to show you guys a few more fancy things that you can opt to do on your assignment this week. Take a look at your layer panel, and this is the part that kind of confuses people, but I want you to pay attention here. See how you have the icon that represents the shape that you just drew. Then you have the name of the layer, and then you have a blank area next to the name of the layer, where it's just kind of blue. Double click on that blank area that's next to that layer. Double click. This brings up the layer styles menu. So if I want to add some effects to a certain layer, I can do this here in the layer styles menu. I'm going to move it off to the side so I can see the effects as they take place. And watch this. For instance, I'm going to double click on outer glow. And right now my outer glow color, and you have to double click on it, just don't click on it once, double click on it. My outer glow color right now is set to white. I'm just going to change it to like pink so you can kind of see it a little bit better, bad contrasty color. And I'm going to increase the size and spread. And you can see that now I'm getting this kind of pinkish glow, and I'll increase the opacity as well, coming from my orange flowery shape there. And so that is just one of the many tools that you can play with in your layer styles menu. So in this case, I'm using the outer glow. I'll show you a stroke, double click. Stroke is like an outline around your shape. And I'm gonna move this over here so you can see it. And if I click on the color, I'll just choose like a different color just so you can see it. I'll increase the size. See, that's what the stroke looks like. See, not very fancy, so I will uncheck that and make that go away. You can also try a little gradient overlay. Double click on that, and you can choose any color that you want for your gradient. How about some rainbows? Click OK. And you know, feel free to use normal, which will look like that. You can also just kind of gently lower the opacity. And then you can click OK. And so you can make some effects like that if you want. Okay, so layer styles, you can click on any individual layer that you've created, double click on the blank area next to the layer's name, not actually on the layer's name. It will then bring up the layer styles menu, and it will apply that effect to that layer. And one really fancy thing you can do is add like an outer glow by double clicking on it. My outer glow is huge on that one. I'm going to lower my size. There we go. So just so I have a little outer glow around each little star shape like so. And then this guy up here at the very, very top, that's the blending options. I can decrease the fill opacity all the way down to 0. And now I have these like little stars that are invisible with like little outer glows around them. I think it kind of looks cool. Right. Next, and the kind of final thing for tonight, I'll show you adjustment layers. And again, don't worry if I'm throwing things at you that are like too advanced and you're overwhelmed. You know, again, I explained that at the very beginning of the class session. You are welcome to make polka dots for your wallpaper, spend 2 seconds on it, turn it in, call it good, and you'll get an A. But I know that some of you want to try some more complicated things. So if you're a little bit more adventurous and you want to experiment with making something that is a little bit different, you know, try these different effects here. So the next thing I'm going to show you is, again, found at the bottom of the layer panel. You want to make sure that you click on the little circle that's light on one side, dark on the other. And there's this handy tool called the hue saturation. Hue saturation. And what you're going to do is click on that. And then this hue saturation panel pops up, which is this guy right here. And then what you're going to do is drag the slider. And you can then see what your design will look like if you made it in different colors, like so. So you can see, oh, would my design be cooler if I made it look like that instead? And then ta-da, that's pretty cool. And in week 3, you're gonna learn how to cut holes in layers using things called masks and selections. But if you want to be fancy and experiment with a little masking and selection, I'm going to show you how to do it. So you see this little white square that showed up on your hue saturation adjustment layer? If you click on your little brush tool right here, and then you use that brush tool to paint, what you can do is cut a hole in the layer and reveal the color that's underneath. So if I want to blend 2 effects together, you can see I can do that with the layer mask by cutting a hole in the layer mask, and everything that is black is revealing what is underneath. And then every time I paint with white, I can bring back the color effects. Pretty cool, right? So that is just painting with black on a layer mask to reveal what's underneath. Okay, now I want to go over some things that sometimes happen in Photoshop classes, some common issues that come up. I made a little cartoon. And this is my introduction to Photoshop cartoon. There is a moral or message to this story. See if you can identify what the moral or message of this little cartoon is. Alrighty, so can anyone identify what the moral or message of that story is? What I was trying to convey there? Don't make excuses, right? If that student had put about half the energy that he put into making excuses, into just doing the assignments, taking advantage of all the resources, attending class sessions and getting help from tutoring and all of that, he would have definitely gotten an A in the class. So the moral of that story is do the work and don't make excuses. Now, I have a second short little cartoon demonstrating 4 reasons why a student might get a low grade on his assignment. See if you can identify what the 4 reasons are why a student might get a low grade on their assignment. Okay, so what were the 4 mistakes the student made in his assignment? 1, yep, he used copyright protected images. He had spelling and grammar errors. He took a small image and he stretched it to make it bigger, resulting in it being blurry and pixelated. And then he forgot to make separate layers. So you always want to make separate layers in Photoshop. Every change goes on a new layer so you can easily edit it in the future. So let's talk about a little bit about using photos in your assignments. And Google is a great place to go for photos, but you need to, this is really, really important. You can't just use whatever image you want on Google. You need to make sure that you use only license-free, non-copyright protected images. So let's go do a little Google image search. And I'm going to go to images here. Now I can't just use whatever image I see here because some of these are copyright protected and some of these are not. So what I need to do is click on this button here that says Tools. And yes, of course, you can always use images that are photos that you have made yourself because those are not copyright protected, right? So you're going to go to Tools, and now you're going to go to see where it says Usage Rights, and you'll click Labeled for Reuse with Modification. Labeled for Reuse with Modification. Next, if you're making something that's meant for print, you'll want to go to Size and make sure you only use large images. So if you click on Large, it will filter out all the small images and only show you large images. Next, hover over each of these and you'll see it will give you the size. My computer's a little slow, so it's not showing up. But let's say you've chosen an image that you want to use. Now you have to open that image as large as possible by clicking View Image and viewing it super, super up close like this before you download it. If you just download from the preview page, you are downloading a small thumbnail image and you're not downloading the whole large image. So now I'm going to hold down the Control button and I'm going to click on this image and I'm going to hit Save Image As. And I'm going to save this to my desktop as raccoon.jpg. And then hit Save. Now I'll demonstrate how to bring this into Photoshop. So I'm going to go to my Photoshop document and I'll make a new blank layer first. Now I'm going to place this raccoon picture into my document by going to File, Place Embedded. File, Place Embedded. Go to my desktop, go to my raccoon picture, and I'm going to hit Place, and I can place this wherever I want, and then hit Enter or Return. Now, if you want to blend your image and make it like appear like it's part of your composition, right? And it's not just randomly placed in there. I hit V on my keyboard just to move it a little bit. You can click on, again, this is not required for this week. You don't have to get this complicated, but I know some of you are really eager to do some more advanced things. We're going to learn more about masking in week 3. But if you click on this little square with a little circle inside of it at the bottom of your layer panel, while having your photo selected, that little white square that we saw on our hue saturation adjustment layer, that little white square appears. And that white square is like a stencil where you can cut a hole and blend your picture with the rest of your composition. So what you need to do then is get your brush tool out and make sure that black is your foreground color. Make sure that that white box that's next to your layer is selected. And then watch. Now I'm going to paint with black, and every time I paint with black, especially with a very, very large soft brush, I can blend. And I can do something like this. So now my little raccoon is included in my picture. Pretty cool, right? So that is a way that you can bring photo elements into your document. Now, I'm sure you guys are probably really eager to get the answers for our assessment this week. So I'm going to take you through that. So you guys have a discussion, you have an assignment, and you have an assessment. There is our assignment. Be sure to watch the rubric or look at the rubric here and make sure that everything that is required is in here before you turn it in. And then this is our assessment, which is a quiz, a very, very short quiz. And here are the answers. So question 1 is Photoshop images are based on pixels. Each pixel is a small square that represents one color or shade, and that is true. Question 2, what is this? This is the toolbar. The toolbar. Question 3, you can select most tools not only with the mouse, but with the shortcut keys as well. And that also is true. Question 4, blank are sections in an image that can be manipulated independently. In a sense, they're stacked on each other, and that is layers. Question 5, you can only undo your last 3 steps. That is actually false. You can undo many, many times. By default, I think it's about 50 times. And the shortcut key to undo is Alt, Command Z, Alt, Command Z, Alt, Command Z, Alt, Command Z, and hit that over and over and over again, or Alt, Control Z if you're on a PC. Alt, Command Z over and over again. And you can undo your mistakes. The help menu is a designer's friend. That is true. Question 7, if you want to put a multi-layered image into your Photoshop image without losing all the layers, you use which command? And that is place, the same command that we use for bringing in the photo. So now you guys have all the answers to the week 1 assessment, and you're going to have another quiz, another assessment in week 3, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to give you all the answers. So this is the benefit of coming to class where you can get your answers ahead of time. And Olivia wants to know how to save. So I'm just going to share my desktop one more time. And to save, you go to File, Save As. The format that allows you to save all of your layers is the Photoshop document. So make sure that up at the top of the screen it says .psd, and down here it says Format Photoshop, and then hit Save. And then just replace it. Does that answer your question, Olivia? Okay, and now I'm sure you guys are probably really curious about professional Photoshop artists and professional graphic designers. So I have a short little video of inspiration just to kind of give you an idea of what professional graphic artists do. And then we'll call it a day.
define affiliations, to signal beliefs.
If you can contribute to making people's lives a little bit better and elevating the general level of design, then why not?
If you know how you want to make them feel, that's the most important thing. You just want to make something memorable.
I say, do what you think is right and interesting and smart, and then worry about what the survey says.
Alrighty, you guys, so now you have, I think, a basic little bit of Photoshop. You have an idea of what you got to do for your discussion board. You have your answers to your assessment. So I'll end things here tonight. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to post it in the chat. If not, I will see you in the classroom.